Well, hey everyone, welcome to another Blu-ray haul. This one is long overdue. It's kind of May and also early June, but there's a lot of titles that I picked up, and I'm super excited to share them with you today. Hello, my name is Nathan Jones, and if you're new here, welcome. I like to talk about all things movies, specifically Blu-rays, as you can probably tell, based on that introduction, also the thumbnail and the title. But let's just jump into the things that I picked up. So a lot of these titles are from boutique labels, also some standard Blu-ray releases. But I am currently watching some of these right now, and I also recently watched some of them, and I watched some of these in the future as well. So I'm super excited to share them with you, but the first thing I want to do is share with you probably the most important movie or documentary series in this entire pile. So what am I talking about? I'm actually talking about a documentary series, a 14-part documentary series, one that is an hour long each, and it is all about women filmmakers. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Women Make Films. And this is a new road movie through cinema, that is the subtitle of it. It is a documentary series directed and written by Mark Cousins, who you might know from The Story of a Film and Odyssey. If you've watched any other his documentary series, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm super excited to check it out in the future. But this is just a history of looking into women in film and these directors. Some of them might be from like Catherine Bigelow, even so bigger names like that, all the way to world cinema masterpieces from filmmakers that are just lesser known and not really explored as much. And so this is actually narrated by Tilda Swinton, Jane Fonda, Sharmila Tagore, Terry Fox, just to name a few women who are involved with this road movie. It's literally set up like a road movie, so you're going through each different theme or genre or setup of how women tackle that specific thing. So in the first episode, it's openings and tone. So just try to figure out, how do we set up a film? How do we open with a tone? How do we set that up? There's other themes and genres like believability, suspense. They even talk about sex and bodies, how women film those. And to the final episode, episode 14, where we talk about death, closing, and also song and dance. Kind of ends like on a really nice little song and dance, and it's really, really cool. But it's a really great, wonderful road movie. I highly recommend it. It's certainly one of those films that if you love film history, it's certainly worth your time. It's out on Cohen Media Group, so you can order it from them or from Amazon. That's where I got it from. And so I'm just super excited to share this with you, because it's certainly something that is a gem of a release, and you should check it out if you haven't. So moving on from there, we have another Cohen release. Another Cohen release is actually a 1924 epic that I have not seen yet, but I'm super excited to check out because I've been wanting to see this movie for far too long. And what is that movie? I'm talking about Raoul Walsh's The Thief of Baghdad, starring Douglas Fairbanks from 1924. And this is a long one. This is 149 minutes, I believe. Yep. And it's like I said, an epic, so I haven't seen it yet, and so I've had this on my radar for far too long, and so I'm super excited to check it out sometime in the near future. And if you've seen it, tell me down in the comment section below, what do you think of The Thief of Baghdad? I'm super excited about it. So let's move on from there to another boutique label. This time we're talking about one from Eureka, Masters of Cinema. So this is a UK-based company that these are Region B films, so a lot of these are hard to come by around here in the United States, but you can definitely order them. And so I'm super excited to talk about spine number 134. It's actually 5 films by, I'm probably going to get this director's name wrong. It's Zika Vertov. It is the man with the movie camera and other works by Vertov. And there's 5 films in this, and they're loaded with special features. I'm super excited to dive into this because I'm really new to Eureka and a lot of their works, but I'm excited to really dive into the history of film. And this is definitely one of those films, and the works of Vertov are some of those groundbreaking pieces of work that really kind of puts the auteur on the map. And yeah, I'm just excited to dive into those. So let's move on from there to another boutique label. So moving away from Eureka, we're actually going to talk about Kino Lorber, which is another boutique label, a really big one in the United States. Talks a lot about kind of classic cinema, even silent cinema, and a lot of those bigger pieces of work. So the first thing I want to talk about is some lesser known work that I'm excited that I have never seen this before. I can't believe that this is just popping up in my purview. I checked it out on the website themselves. I'm talking about Film Noir, The Dark Side of Cinema, Volume 2. So I believe Volume 1 is out of print on Blu-ray. You can get the DVD copies, and Volume 3 and 4 are about to show up. But I'm just super excited to dive into this. It's 3 films right here. Some lesser known noir films. So Thunder on the Hill from 1951, The Price of Fear from 1954, and The Female Animal from 1958. All films that I have not seen, and all noirs that I'm just super excited to dive into. I've watched a lot of Howard Hawks films, maybe some Lauren Bacall and Humphrey Bogart films that kind of showcase the noir, maybe the more well-known ones, but I'm just excited to jump into this. So let's move on from there to another Kino Lorber release. This Kino Lorber release is a silent film. It's actually an episodic silent film from 1915 to 1916. It's a French film. It's a series of films kind of focused on espionage and also vampires. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Les Vampires. I'm probably going to butcher the director's name, Louis Thiad, I believe is how you pronounce this director's name, but I'm super excited about this. I've been sinking my fangs into a lot of vampiric cinema. Lately, I've been watching a lot of Christopher Lee, Hammer Horror Dracula, which we'll talk about in a second, actually. But yeah, I'm super excited about this. It's a long one. I believe it's 417 minutes, which is long. It's 10 episodes each. It's like an episodic kind of epic. And so yeah, have any of you seen Les Vampires? Tell me down in the comment section what your thoughts on that is, because I'm super excited to check it out. I'm saying super excited way too much. Moving right along into another Kino Lorber vampiric release is a documentary from 1975 starring and narrated by Christopher Lee himself, who used to play Dracula in the Hammer Horror Dracula series. That is In Search of Dracula. And this fictitious and also non-fictitious documentary is looking at Vlad the Impaler, the legend of Dracula himself. And yeah, Christopher Lee plays Vlad several times in the film, and he also plays Count Dracula. There's a lot of film clips from the Dracula series that he's a part of, but also even stuff from Nosferatu and seeing its depiction in like 1931. There's a lot of really great things, Bela Lugosi, you know, and so it's really just exploring that legend, and it's awesome. It's certainly worth your time. It's a recent release from Kino, and I'm super excited to share that with you. So this actually segues perfectly to a Count Dracula film that I picked up recently. And that is released on Severin, and it's actually called Count Dracula from 1970. I believe it's directed by the Spanish director Jess Franco. I might be wrong about him from Spain, but I am super excited about this because it starred Christopher Lee, and it's the one where he's got a mustache on it, and I've heard so many good things about this film. I've been really digging a lot of the Hammer Horror Dracula and all the Christopher Lee stuff, and so I'm super excited about this one. Oh man, there it is again, super excited. Use new vocabulary. I'm ready to sink my fangs into this one. So let's move on from there. Moving right along, we're actually going to talk about some more boutique labels. This one's from Shout Select, and Shout Select puts out a lot of really great titles, a lot of underground stuff, or maybe some lesser known films. Maybe they were known when they came out, but really they've kind of been ignored. I'm talking about two particular films. One's actually a double feature, so three. And I'm talking about Farewell, My Lovely and The Big Sleep, which is a Robert Mitchum double pack. It's spine number 42. And we're also talking about The Boxer with Daniel Day-Lewis and Emily Watson. Both films, all three films, are films that I haven't seen. I've seen the original Big Sleep with Bogart and Bacall, but I want to see this because obviously you have Daniel Day-Lewis and Emily Watson, two of the greatest actor and actresses that we have. And so, yeah, I'm excited to check out the Shout Selects here. All right, so moving on from there is actually to, as you can probably tell behind me, my favorite boutique label, and that's Criterion. And I've actually been recently watching a lot of this director's work. It's an Iranian film director, and I really love everything that I've seen that he's done. I've seen Close Up, the Coker trilogy, and I cannot wait to check out Taste of Cherry that comes out later in July, I believe, when it comes out on Blu-ray. But I picked up Certified Copy, which came out in 2010, not too far ago, I guess 10 years, it's a long time, I guess. Juliette Binoche, and then opera singer William Shamel. I've really enjoyed all of Abbas Kiarostami's work that I've watched, and I just love his blend of fiction and nonfiction in that documentary style of work. But I really don't know much about this particular film, but I'm super just, pumped about it because Abbas has put out so many great works. And yeah, it's just something that I've recently been on a kick on. So how many of you have seen Certified Copy? Tell me in the comment section. I want to hear your thoughts before I jump into this one myself. So these next films are actually some things that I've recently been going through. Because it's June, I've been a part of this thing called Junesploitation. And this is something that my friend Daniel Epler from Cobwebs got me on board with. And I've been on his podcast before, Cobwebs, a Gothic cinema podcast. Go check out Daniel Epler. Down in the description down below, he's really great. I've been on his podcast a couple times. But we're going through Junesploitation. And Junesploitation is the month where each day of the week, each day of June, you get a different theme or genre that is related to Junesploitation. That could range from Cars to Italian horror to Jackie Chan, which is what today is. When I'm filming this, I'm going to be watching Police Story. But it doesn't have to be anything exploitation-wise or a B-movie or anything. It could be anything related to that theme. So for this theme that I'm about to talk about, this movie that I'm about to talk about, is Blaxploitation. Something that I'm very unaware of, and I haven't really watched any films that are related to Blaxploitation, except for, I guess, to an extent, Dolomite Is My Name, which is kind of a making of Dolomite, which is one of those Blaxploitation films with Eddie Murphy. It's really, really great. Check it out if you haven't. And then I've also seen Jackie Brown, who is starring Pam Grier, which I'll talk about in a second. And Jackie Brown is probably a love letter to those things a little bit from Tarantino himself. But speaking of Pam Grier, I picked up Coffee. And Coffee is a Blaxploitation film with Grier, and it's one of the classic ones, and it's something that I, like I said, have not really dived into, and so I'm just, I'm ready for it. I'm ready for it, and Junesploitation is a perfect time of the month for it. And actually, this leads me to something really important to talk about. Right now in the United States, a lot of things are going on, especially when it comes to race. And I want to mention that I love films for their power. So for instance, Do the Right Thing by Spike Lee is a really great representation of when a film is political and also serious and entertaining at the same time. You're seeing those political themes and those empathy really kind of just it's throwing you into the shoes of another person. And so I just want to say, I know normally this channel is not political, and it's certainly not, it's for entertainment, but I'm in total support of the discussion that we're having on in this country, especially when it comes to race, and I'm in support of those who want to change what's going on in the world today, because, and frankly, there's just a lot of unfortunate things going on right now, and this is certainly one that's been going on way too long. But anyway, yeah, I normally don't talk about those things on camera, but I hope that through film that you can get a little bit more empathetic towards a lot of things and situations that maybe you're not comfortable with yourself, and maybe you can watch this or just be a part of somebody else's lives and try to change it for the better. And so that's what I'll say about that. So let's move back into the Blu-rays that I'm talking about. This next one that I want to mention is from Arrow Films, and it's a classic Italian horror giallo film. It is the giallo to end all giallos. I finally saw it a few days ago for Junesploitation during the Italian Horror Day. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Dario Argento's Deep Red, and this is a really great release. I've only seen Suspiria from Argento, and I'm just excited to dive further into his works because, frankly, I've really enjoyed what I've seen. I love that bright red blood, that orangish blood, and I love the suspense, the horror, the craziness. There's so much of it, and I absolutely love it. And yeah, Deep Red, I think, is a good dive into giallo. And yeah, if you've seen any giallo films, what's my next step for giallo? Tell me down in the comment section. I want to hear more. All right, so these next films are kind of along the same lines when it comes to what I'm doing for Junesploitation. One of them is a slasher film, one's an 80s horror film, and another one is a film that involves swords and sorcery. So those are the themes for those days. But this next one that I'm going to talk about is from Scream Factory. And Scream Factory puts out a lot of really great releases, and this one was actually gifted from my friend Cris from Hurtastic Reviews. You know him. Check out his podcast and his channel down in the comment section down below. I'm talking about Sleepaway Camp. He gifted me this. He told me watch it with friends or be prepared for it. I've heard really crazy things about this one. I heard it's a crazy slasher, and I don't really have much expectations for it. I've heard it can either be good or bad. I have no idea, but I'm ready for the schlockiness, so let's just go into it. And then kind of related to this in a way is a collection that I finally picked up that I haven't seen all of the films in, which I cannot believe. I've only seen the first film in this collection of Wes Craven's works. You'll see where I'm going with that. And I've only seen the remake, and I'm talking about Nightmare on Elm Street. I finally picked this up, and this has all 7 of the films, the original 7 film collection, the original Nightmare, and all of those ones. Dream Warriors is the 3rd movie, etc. But I'm going to be watching Nightmare on Elm Street 2: Freddy's Revenge for Junesploitation for my 80s horror day. I'm super excited about it, and yeah, I can't believe I haven't watched this series yet. It's crazy that I haven't. Yeah, I know. Berate me in the comment section below. You know what to do. All right, the last movie I'm going to talk about from Junesploitation is a swords and sorcery film. Another one where I've only seen the remake, the adaptation of, and I've seen parts of these when I was growing up with my dad. I'm talking about the Conan the Barbarian series with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Specifically Conan the Barbarian. There's also Conan the Destroyer, this double pack. I'm going to be watching the Barbarian for my Swords and Sorcery Day. I'm excited to see it because I really love Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love Predator, and I've loved everything else I've seen with Schwarzenegger in it, even like Long Goodbye, where he's like uncredited. But yeah, he's a great guy, and he's got the muscles to showcase that, and he's going to be swinging a big giant sword, so I'm excited for it. And the last things I want to mention are some things that came out last year, some standard releases, some of the best films that came out last year that are super exciting to talk about. So the first one I want to mention is one of the greatest directors working today, and that's Quentin Tarantino. You can see where I'm going. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. 3 names: Margot Robbie, Leonardo DiCaprio, and Brad Pitt. I loved this film. It's a love letter to 1969 and that late 60s, early 70s film movement, and you can totally tell it's on his sleeve, and it's some revisionist history too from 1969, the Manson murders. It's such a great film, and it's a breath of fresh air because it's definitely a film that, in my opinion, the first time I watched it, I wasn't as sold for it, but the more I watch it, I've seen it multiple times now, the more and more I love it. I fall in love with it. It's made for people who love film, and so check out Once Upon a Time in Hollywood if you haven't seen it. Next one I'm going to talk about is An Anxiety Attack. If you haven't seen this one, holy shit. It's, like I said, an anxiety attack. I'm talking about the Safdie brothers' Uncut Gems, and starring Adam Sandler, and breakout role by Julia Fox. It also has like The Weeknd in it, Idina Menzel, Lakeith Stanfield, who we'll talk about in a second, and Kevin Garnett as well, who is an NBA basketball player who was just amazing in this film. This is an anxiety attack on speed. It's certainly one of those films that just is so manic and things are going on. It's a really crazy story, really great performances. I absolutely loved it. I've fallen in love with the Safdie brothers since Good Time, and so I'm just excited to have this finally as well. A lot of people weren't ready for it, I tell you that. All right, the next film I'm going to talk about is a movie that I actually watched twice in China because I loved it so much, and that is Rian Johnson's newest film, Knives Out. It's a whodunit with so many people. I told you I was going to talk about Lakeith Stanfield. We also have Daniel Craig as one of the main characters, Chris Evans, Ana de Armas, who's like the main central focus in this film. We have Don Johnson, Jamie Lee Curtis, Michael Shannon, Toni Collette, Catherine Langford, Jaden Martell, and Christopher Plummer. Oh my God, what a cast! It's such a great film that definitely kind of nods to the Hitchcock films of the past, but also like something like Clue. It's a really fun film, and I highly recommend it. It's a really great one, and you'll have a good time, and you'll laugh as well. And then the last film is a movie that I have not seen yet, but I've heard really good things about because my roommate told me that's really good. One of them that I missed out from last year, and I have a slight feeling that this might be related, kind of like it's like the female version of Magic Mike. I'm totally wrong. I have no idea. Tell me down in the comment section if I am. Hustlers. I'm talking about Hustlers. Also amazing cast. Constance Wu, Jennifer Lopez, Julia Stiles, Lily Reinhart, Keke Palmer, Cardi B, and Lizzo. Lizzo's amazing. If you haven't listened to her music, check out Lizzo. It's great. But yeah, I'm excited for Hustlers. I'm excited to set aside some time, check this one out, and deep dive into it. But those are all the films that I picked up for May and early June. I have some things coming in the mail still, and I'll share that with you in the future. But what about you? What did you pick up? I want to hear down in the comment section down below. Have you seen any of these movies? Tell me about them. Did you pick up anything yourself? Like, comment down below, share this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I'll see you next time. I'm not jonesing around.